Okay, let's get started by talking about your first assignment. Now, before I actually talk about why I'm having you read the Ten Commandments, let's talk about what we want to do in general with this class. First of all, this isn't a traditional class that, like most of your other classes, this isn't a class where I want you to memorize names and dates and names of theories and things like that. What I'm trying to get you to do is just think. Think about some things that possibly you've never thought about before. We're going to read some things that you probably haven't read before. We're going to share ideas, so hopefully you'll hear some thoughts from other people that are thoughts that you haven't really considered before. Not trying to change anybody's mind or shape anybody's ideas, other than just expand your base of knowledge and introduce you to some things that you haven't talked about before. Now, with ethics, what we're talking about here basically is, how we decide what is right and wrong. So we're going to start the first of the semester by looking at how some very famous philosophers have kind of broken down that process of deciding what is right and wrong. We're going to approach it from several different angles and kind of get us to start thinking about that. Part of what we're trying to do with this class is just to get you to think about what you think is right and wrong, how you determine your own set of ethics. One of the problems with people these days, I find when I'm out teaching ethics, is that we just never think about, what are our ideals of what is right and wrong. So that's part of what we're going to try to do in this course, just get you thinking about that. Now, what you will see throughout a lot of the semester is our basic ideas of right and wrong to a large degree come from a religious basis. Even if you're not a religious person, our society is just permeated with religion to the extent that even if you're not a religious person, there's still some of those religious beliefs that seep into how we decide what is right and wrong, what is good and bad. So that's one of the reasons why I start you off by reading the Ten Commandments. Now you'll notice that this is the only per se religious reading that we have for the semester, and that's because another thing that we do here is this. People get very sensitive sometimes when you talk about religion. So this is really the only time that we're going to talk about religion. And actually, we're not even going to talk about religion with the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments are probably one of the most universally known set of rules, basically laying out, good behavior or right behavior, and also there laying out what is bad or wrong behavior. And regardless of what religion you believe in, almost everybody knows what the Ten Commandments are. So what I want you to do is I want you to read the Ten Commandments, and I want you to try to, in your mind, take them out of a religious context. Think of them more in general terms of how could you modify these, or how could you use these? How could you maybe delete one, add one, update one to make these rules good general guidelines for good behavior? So not in a religious context, which means right there you probably want to take out, some of the things about worshiping idols or whatever. You want to take out a few of those right there just to remove the religious context. But like I said, I want you to think of them in general terms. Are these good guidelines? Can you apply them generally? How would you modify them, add to them, delete them to make them good guidelines? Can't talk tonight. Or maybe you just want to throw them all out and start over. Maybe you have a great just one-liner that you want to use as your guidelines. So this is just to kind of, one, show you that a lot of our beliefs of right and wrong, good and bad, come from a religious context, even when we're not religious. And two, start you thinking about, what are good, ethical, moral, whichever way you want to put that. We'll talk about the discussion as we go on this course, but good, basic guidelines for our behavior. So read your 10 Commandments and fill out your homework, and there's your first assignment.